Hi, everybody. So glad you're here today. I know that it's been kind of a crazy day around this house, so probably it's a crazy day everywhere, trying to get ready to go away to retreat. And I wanted to hop on and just show you something you can do with embossing powder. Some of you probably already know it. Some of you, it might be something new. Um, it's one of those tricks that's been around forever, but we kind of forget about it. We kind of get tied up with all the new and greatest stuff, and we kind of forget about some of those old techniques that we haven't tried for a while, or that, yeah, they're just out there and we just kind of put them out of our head because they're not new. So first of all, I want to give a real big shout out to Tanya. She is a Cricut wizard. I tried to make a Happy Mother's Day words with the shadow behind them, or whatever. I think it's called offset when you talk in the Cricut world. I could be completely wrong. Let's just say I didn't have much success. And I messaged Tanya and I said, could you make me a Happy Mother's Day? And this is what she came up with. So a huge shout out to Tanya. I haven't figured out how I get it from my Cricut into files, but I will do that. I might have to talk to her and get her to walk me through that. But we will just see if I can figure it out myself. But huge shout out to Tanya for doing that for me. So Mother's Day is around the corner. I have a mom that I need to send a Mother's Day card to, and with retreat coming up, believe it or not, it's got to go in the mail today. So I kind of made it in two different colors, or used two different embossing powders. I used the gold, and I'm going to show those to you in a second on this one. And then on this one, I used the silver. And I don't know if you guys can pick this up in the light. I got to get it just, but it sparkles. There's a little, right there, just a bit. There's a little bit of sparkle in this silver. I have other silver embossing powders, but this one is very cool. So if you think you have all the embossing powders you need, you got to check out the silver one that Tammy's got in the shop right now. And of course, the little bling on the sides are just from my stash. These are A2 cards, so pretty standard card for me to make. I'm just going to go through a couple measurements for those of you that might be new. Hello, Marguerite. Oh, there you go. Well, good. I'm glad. Well, I don't know if slow is good, but glad you could join me. Thank you. So, of course, the A2 sides card is 5.5, and it is 8.5 when you have it completely opened up, and you score it 4.25, which gives you this wonderful 4.25 size card. So it's 5.5 by 4.25 when you fold it. I use two mats. So the black mat is a 5.25 by 4. The blue mat, which we'll talk about that in a second, is 5 by 3.75. So this is that baby blue artisan cardstock. And it just so happens blue is one of my mom's favorite colors. So hence the let's do it in blue. And of course, black artisan. This is black artisan underneath the Happy Mother's Day words. And I want to show you this paper. So this paper comes in 3 different colors. And the one I'm going to show you the paperwork for is the white one. So it comes in a big package of 50 sheets. There's 5 types of card types there in the package. Just going to set this over here for a second. So it has like a glitter and a soft touch, which is just a very smooth. Then it has a brushed pearl, which is literally that. It looks like it's got a bit of brushed pearl going on, like there's lines through it. Then just a plain pearl and a mirror. I don't know if you can see the mirror. But now I'm going to show it to you in the silver and the gold. So this is by Sizzix. Tammy has this in the store. And it's just amazing stuff. I think I'm going to take out the gold package and just kind of quickly show you a bit of that. Whoops, some of it drops on the floor. Not a good thing. So there's the mirror. Sorry if it's got a little mark on it because I've been playing with it. And there's the brushed. There's more mirror. I should have had one out of each. And it's like it's like a really bright mirror and then kind of a brushed finished. And then it's got all this glitter and you get 5 sheets of each. So there's the gold. I think I missed one here. Not only do I think I did, I know I did. Maybe I used all of the one already. I didn't think I had, but you never know. So yes, so it comes in an assortment of colors. Just check. I believe they all come with 5 different types in them. What happened when I was down in Utah in February, Tammy and I split the 3 packages. So I only brought home the label from the white one. And I didn't use any white in these cards, but you'll be seeing more of this over the next little while. And then the silver, again, I've been playing with it, with the Cricut, and it will cut. The Cricut will cut this paper, just to give you the FYI on that one. And like I say, the silver's got the mirror, the brushed, and the glitter, a lighter silver, and almost like a gunmetal, I would call it, or this gunmetal. Yeah, this one here is the kind of the gunmetal. And I know the it's hard with the camera, and I see when I look over at my screen, you can see me looking sideways. So that's the silver. And I see this white, especially this white glitter. When we get back into our Christmas season where we're making all kinds of Christmas cards, this make beautiful snowflakes. And like I say, the Cricut will cut it. As you can see, I was trying, and then I had to decide what I wanted. So it's beautiful, beautiful paper. And it's quite heavy. Does it tell me the weight? Yeah, it says it's 250 GSM. So 92 pound, 92 and a half pound, actually. Yes, Marguerite, the gunmetal is quite nice. I actually did kind of Happy Mother's Day out, but I didn't quite like it on the front of my card, so I went with that soft, the lighter of the two. And this is sort of the brushed finish, and this is the pearl. I'm going to say it's this pearl here, like the brush pearl, and this one here is probably just the straight pearl. I thought that they kind of matched just these 2 cards I was working on. But if you haven't had a chance to check this out, please make sure. Go over to countrycraftcreations.com, type in Sizzix Opulent Cardstock Pack. The 3 different designs should come up. And I will try to remember after this video to link it in the description below. So that'll be what I'll try to remember to do later today. So now we just have to talk about a couple of other things. So I got to show you. I have 3 of the embossing powders that Tammy has in the store. I am hoping to get the last one when I go down to Utah next week for retreat. So she has this silver, and it literally says Silver Sparkle, and it is, the camera is not doing it justice, or it's my lighting, right? I think there you can kind of, maybe there you can kind of see it, but it's got a beautiful sparkle effect. So it's gorgeous. So that's the silver. And then I also used the gold today for this one. And it's just a beautiful, beautiful gold. It's like gold is supposed to be this color. And then I also have the clear. I didn't use the clear for these cards, but she also has clear, and she has white. And so when I come back from Utah, I'm going to bring the white back with me. And I'm going to show you another effect that you can do with embossing powders. And I'll just give you a small sneak peek of it, okay? This is not perfect by any stretch. And actually, I didn't use white on this, or did I use? No, I used the clear on a white piece of paper, and then I inked it. So this is what we're going to do down the road here. Hopefully not too long from now. Just depends on how crazy the world gets. So you're saying, where did you get the butterfly stamp from? The butterfly stamp comes out of the Heartfelt Creations large the butterfly stamp. Sorry, it just popped up a message and it made me think that we were stopped. Hi, Alice. Hi, Teresa. But I think we're good. I hope we're good. The large floral butterfly, it's in the store. It's from Heartfelt Creations. And it is a gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous stamp. Sorry, mine has got embossing ink on it, so it's kind of shiny. And you know what? I don't clean it after I use the embossing powder on it, or embossing ink on it. Because you know what? As somebody taught me, it makes your other inks attract to it. So when you're stamping, you get a better image. Just remember to clean it really well after, because you don't want to get your embossing ink pad covered in colored ink. So that would be my only thing I would remind you to do. So it comes with this stamp. And then it also comes with this teeny tiny little border stamp. And I was trying to do something with my border stamp and I left it too late. You might try with the gold one. So I got it embossed, and then I think I was too eager when I was running it through my die cutting machine. And I actually ended up with 2 pieces. And just let me take out this little bit here. See, it ended up with 2 pieces. And you could actually take them apart and have individual butterflies if you wanted to. But I'm looking at this and I'm going, you know, that would still look pretty sweet down at the bottom. So I think this is going to go right here inside this card. That's where I think that's going to go. But yes, check out this stamp if you happen. There's also a matching die set that is just awesome. Absolutely awesome. So I'm just going to set this over here. What else did I want to tell you before we actually got started today? Oh, yes. To do this technique, you're going to need an embossing ink pad, clear, because you're going to be putting embossing powder on top of the ink. Because what you need is you need something for the embossing powder to adhere to, and that's what this is for. And no, glue won't work, okay? Just glue won't work. So I'm going to want to have this out here with me. I'm going to move this stuff all over here. And I'm going to keep that one right there. I don't know if we're going to use that one or not. So, like I said, I will get Tanya's help and we'll get the happy birthday cutout in our in my file. So I'm just going to set that there. I hope you don't hear the vacuum that's rolling down the hallway towards me, but it can't come in. So when you cut it out on the Cricut, you get 2 pieces. And I cut the bottom layer, or the shadow layer, as I'm going to call it, in the black. And then I also have the Happy Mother's Day in the silver brush. So I'm just going to set this aside. We're going to adhere these 2 things together, just so it has a second or 2 to dry. And it's really, really easy to add the glue to the back of this. It's quite big. Well, not quite big, but it's on the larger side. And I just run the glue all over. And just takes a little while, and you just have to have some patience. It's good eye-hand coordination. Almost done. Okay, I'm going to stick that back in its holder. I'm going to line these two things up. And the best is to just kind of position it where you think you want it. Don't worry about the glue. And then what I do is I just take a white piece of paper, fold it kind of in half, stick it in between the paper, and give it a good rub down to adhere it, like so. And voila. And you're just going to let that dry. It's going to dry. Clear that little bit of glue that you can see. And that's how easy it is to do one of those shadow words. And like I say, I will add that to the file with the help of Tanya. All right, so now I just want to go back to those cards for just a second, because I did two different things here. On the gold one, on this one, I did the full butterfly in the middle of the card. On this silver one, what I did is I stamped the butterfly on the right-hand side, stamped it going up, facing upwards, and on the left-hand side, I stamped it facing down. And it gives two different looks. Both are beautiful. It's just a different finish. So it's just something to keep in mind. Depends on which look you're going for, and play around with it and you'll discover what you like. Okay. So what we're going to do. Hello, Karen. So nice that you could join us. So what we're going to do is I'm going to get up my baby blue paper, and I'm really just going to show you what I did. And I just need, there they are. So I always like a very squishy surface to stamp on. And because the stamp is bigger than my piece of paper or my card, I always put a piece of paper underneath, just because I don't want the ink on my squishy mat. So it's just my little thing. That would be me, Karen. So let's ink up. Let's ink up our stamp. And I always like to ink pad to stamp. So what I mean by that is I'm going to be pushing my ink pad down on my stamp. Some people will ink this way. I just find I get better coverage, more even coverage when I ink from my stamp pad to my stamp. So let's get started. Hello, Julianne. How are you today? So we're just going to stamp it. And I make a couple of passes, because that's what I like to do. And we're just going to get it all covered. There we go. And once I find my lid, put my lid back on. And remember, Tammy's got this in the store. And I think for this card, I am going to do the butterfly in the center is what I think I'm going to do. Now, the other handy dandy thing I have right here is I have one of these embossing I really don't know what to call it. All it does is it picks up any ink that, or any oils that might be on the card. And you know, you look at the cardstock and you go, oh, it's clean. There's nothing on it. Well, you know what? There's always something on it. And what this does is it just removes any of that ink, I'm going to say, or not ink, oils, things that you don't want your embossing powder to stick to. So now let's take this butterfly, and I like to offset mine, something like that. And then I'm going to give it a lot of pressure. And I have this wonderful little tool that a friend of mine made me, which I really like to use when I'm doing something like this. Thank you. Anti-static. That's right, Marguerite. Thank you. Hello, Miss Tamara. So just give it a good... I always say that when you're stamping, the most important thing to remember is don't be in a rush. Take your time and give the ink time to soak into the paper. A quick stamp down, you're not going to get a good impression. But if you really give it time to let that ink sink into the paper, you're going to get a much better impression. Doesn't matter if you're using the clear embossing ink or if you're using a colored ink, just give it time. Now, I don't usually let it sit for as long as it has now, but that's because I'm talking. So all we're going to do is we're going to lift it up. And these wonderful little tweezers I have in my hand are from Dress My Craft. And Tammy also sells them in the store. They're heat resistant. They've got a metal holding part. I don't know what to call it. But the tips of them are Teflon. So what I like about that is they're a little wider. So when you lift it up, you're not damaging your cardstock. And then I'm just going to show you. I have made cards where I literally have just done this and let the embossing ink dry. So can you guys write? Just looks like a watermark on it. But that's not the look I'm going for today. So we're going to move on to using the embossing powder. And I am going to use the gold because I used gold lettering. And there's your embossing powder. It's just a very fine, looks fine, looks almost like glitter. And it is just gorgeous. So now all we're going to do is we're just going to start putting it all over the cardstock. And I do mean all over the cardstock. And look what you get. Want some more down here. And we're going to turn it around. And that's why you got a paper underneath you so that you have something to scoop it up in. And I am very generous with, and I always give it a little flick on the back because that gets off any excess. Now I'm just going to set that there for just a second because the next thing I have to try and do is get this back into the container without making a huge mess. And I am notorious for messes. So your squishy surface could be an old mouse pad. It could be some of those foam pieces that come in some packaging that we often get with things we buy. You know, that foam squishy. I think I might have a, yeah, I actually do. You know, this kind of stuff that you get in packaging. That will work. Just put a couple layers together. You just want something that's got a little bit of gush to it or squish. All right. So now, let's move this. I always like to take a look at it. And this one's pretty good. And what I'm looking for is, do I have any embossing powder someplace I don't want it to be? See, in my perfect world, I would have pushed down a little harder along the bottom here. It's not as crisp as I would like it, but for this application, it's going to be fine. So I have a paintbrush, and this paintbrush I only use to remove any embossing powder that I don't like. And the little bit that's on this card, you guys are never going to see, unfortunately, because it's so fine. It's right over here, and I don't want embossing powder there. So before I heat set it, I just take my little paintbrush and I just move it, and then it allows me to blow it away. So that's just another one of my tricks that I've got, and I see there's some over here too. So let's get rid of that too, right up here in the corner. So a paintbrush is extremely important for embossing and time. Don't try to do this when you're rushed. Well, you can, but it's much easier to do it when you're calm and not rushed. So I always hold it with tweezers. That's why these heat-resistant tweezers are amazing for embossing, because it's going to allow me to hold on to my piece of paper while I'm heat setting it, and I'm not going to burn my fingers. Now, hopefully this is not going to be too loud, but I do have to get my heat done, because I actually want to talk to you. I was going to put myself on mute, but I've made the decision that no, I'm not. So I just got to get it in here. Now we're going to go this way. Okay, so sorry it's in the way. So it's going to be a little loud. I apologize now. Just let me double check that I don't have a comment here. And it does, Marguerite. Exactly that. Don't be afraid of embossing powder. Use it. Use it on all your projects. You could actually stamp this butterfly onto a piece of pattern paper, add your, stamp it with a clear embossing ink pad, then choose your glitter of choice or your embossing powder of choice, the silver or clear, and it gives a whole different effect to your project. So that is my other tip of the day, is just don't think that there's only one way to use embossing powder, or there's one way to use this ink pad. There's multiple ways to use both. And that's what this kind of series about embossing is going to be about, is here's one way to use embossing powders. Like I say, I'm going to come back after I get my white embossing powder when I go down to see Tammy, and show you that other technique where it's a resist. So let's get started. Let your heat tool heat up. And you know that you've got coverage when it changes color. So let's turn this off. So I'm hoping you can see up here is where it's set already. And it's kind of changed color from this kind of dark color to this beautiful gold. Let's keep going. If I do that, you'll be able to see. You don't want to burn it. You don't want to burn it. Don't touch it when it's hot, because it's liquid. So it just needs a second to set. I see I missed some down here. So I'm going to see. So if you look right here, can you guys see that it's a different color? It's hard to see. But I didn't heat set this portion right here. So always double check your project. That's what you don't want to do. You don't want to touch it when it's hot, because it's hot. Like I say, that's why the tweezers come in so handy. There we go. So there we've done our heat set. And check this. And a heat gun is just a tool you need. You need it for mixed media. You need it for anything like this where you're embossing. There's a ton of other things you need it for, and I'm just not thinking of them right now. It's a tool I bought when I first started crafting. It's the same one I bought 10 years ago, and I use it quite often when I'm embossing or when I'm doing mixed media or some of the other things that I do. Yes, that's a good description of it too, Marguerite. It goes from that grainy look to smooth. Yes, that's a very good way to describe the change that happens. So there it is, all heat set. And now it's shiny and sparkly, not dull like it was before. And I'm going to round my corners on my mat. And I gave you those measurements right at the very beginning. And I just think they're softer when you round the corner. And of course, you could use a smaller sentiment if you want to. I just wanted my butterfly kind of to sit in the background, peeking out. Something like that is how this is all going to play out by the time I'm done. So here's where you can use liquid glue. You can use dry glue. It melts. Yes, Tammy, it melts. That's the other way to describe it. That's why when I kind of pulled my finger back, the underside was quite hot. And yeah, my finger was saying, no, that's too hot to be touching. So just be careful. Don't touch the embossed area right after you've used the heat on it. Give it a 20-second little wait time and then go for it. Now, as you guys know, I tend to like to put dry adhesive on the back of my cards. And I also like to use dry adhesive when I've used embossing powder. And I'll explain the why to that here in a second. So I can't wait to see you guys trying to use embossing powder. Please make sure that if you do, and you've used the ones that you bought out of Tammy's store, to post your pictures. We love seeing what you create. And like I say, this is just a simple, easy card. And there are lots of card ideas out there. There's, go through your stamp stash, see what you have. I'm going to go back to Sally's point that she makes quite regularly. Look in your stash. You'll be surprised what you find. So, but if you love this butterfly, pick it up. It's at countrycraftcreations.com. And it is gorgeous. I'm turning them over, and then I'm taking my Teflon tool, and I'm just going to burnish it just a little bit. Why am I turning it over? I just don't want to wreck my embossing. And I'm not saying it could happen, but I just always turn things over, and especially when it's embossing powder, and do it from the back. Okay. And then I'm just going to reach over here and get us a card base. So I'm using the 100-pound artisan cardstock that Tammy sells in the store. This is the white. I think that's the only 100-pound in the store. And I tend to use that when I'm making card bases just because it's a little thicker. I think the card has a little bit more oomph to it. But I know people that use the regular artisan and they have no problems with it. So it's just a preference thing with me. So keep that in mind. Okay. And I think on this one, I'm going to round the bottom corners. My husband came in here yesterday or the day before as I was creating, and he took a look at the floor and he says, "You got a bit of a mess going on." And I said, "Uh-huh, I'll clean it when I'm done." So remember, this is an A2 size card. So that card, just for measurement's sake, was 5.5 by 8.5 and scored at 4.25. So because I want some dimension, I'm also using the rolls of foam tape that Tammy sells in the store. And I'm going to want some on the back of my card. I need to clean my scissors, I'm seeing, because they're getting glue all over them. But we'll get through today and then I'll give them a clean. Anybody got any great plans for the weekend? I'm going to be packing to go away. Getting the last of the things done that I need to get done here at home before I go away. It's going to be a fantastic time in Utah. So excited because I get to see people I haven't seen in a while. If you ever get the opportunity to go to one of Tammy's live retreats, so in-person retreats, you got to go to at least one. Save your pennies. Make yourself a retreat treat jar, you know, where you're going to put away the extra grocery money or the you know, your mad money, or instead of going to the movies, stick the money in that retreat jar, and you know, before long you'll have enough money to go. So let's remove the backing from the score or from the tape. Two more. And then we're just going to get this back in here. We are going to center it like so. A nice tap down. Now I'm also going to put the foam tape on the back of my Happy Mother's Day. And like I say, I will list the things that I used today. Hopefully I don't forget anything. I'll try to do that right away as soon as we're done the live. As soon as it'll let me. So that you can find this stuff in the shop. I'm going to put one more, I think, in the middle. So if you're not into the tape, the rolls, Tammy also sells just the pop dots, and they will work, or foam dots. Are you talking about this, Diane? This is not a die. This was made on the Cricut, and Tanya created the file for me. So like I say, I have to talk to Tanya and figure out how I get the file from Cricut into files. And I know she knows how to do that. But yes, it's a beautiful font. I actually messaged her yesterday and I said, keep looking at this font, and I keep going, is it too masculine for a Happy Mother's Day? And her daughter said it was just fine. And I went, okay, Bonnie, let it go. It is just fine. So we're just going to center this. And I know we're covering up a lot of the butterfly, but you're still going to know what it is. And you know what? If that really bugs you, you could offset it too. But see, I like the subtleness of the butterfly just in the background. So something like that. And give it a good tap down. And then for the final item is I'm just going to go into my stash, and I need my Teflon mat. And these are just some little pearls that I have in my stash. If you haven't checked out all of the pearls that Tammy has in the shop. If you look or you search buttons galore and more, there are a ton, and I do mean a ton, of pearls and gems that are just perfect for this application, or they're perfect for shaker cards, just where you need that, just that little bit of oomph on a card or on a project. And so all I do is I take my glue, I'm going to make a little puddle on my Teflon mat, and then I just start. I tap my little pearl down in the glue, and I just kind of decide. I find this works better for me than putting the glue on the back of the pearl. And if you noticed, I changed my tweezers because I really like these fine tip ones for this application. And depending on my mood, where I think it needs it, I don't always make them perfectly. And you can add them right on top of the embossing powder. Remember, this glue dries clear because it's the dry clear art glitter glue that Tammy sells. And voila. Just clear that out for a second. And there is our Mother's Day card that I can get in the mail today, so that my mother on Mother's Day will have a card from her daughter waiting for her. So I hope that you got a trick or two from me today. I hope you will try to use some embossing powder. I just want to get the embossing like so. I guess they're going to go lay like that so you can see the names that Tammy's got in the store. And check into this die, or not this die, this stamp. There is a matching die that goes with it. I was going to maybe use it for something today, and it just didn't happen like that. I thought the embossed butterfly right on the paper was my less is more. And those that know me well know that I am that less is more kind of crafter. So I will see you guys on the next live. Hope you guys have an awesome rest of your Friday. And I'll try to remember to wave to everybody at the retreat, because I know Sally will be doing lives. So if you don't belong to Scrapbookers of Country Craft Creations, go over and ask to join, and then you can get a little sneak peek of what goes on at retreats. It's a great time. It's an amazing day. Happy Friday, Sheila. And I hope everyone has an awesome weekend. Hopefully you get out in the sunshine and get to do some things you want to do, maybe get to craft. So we will see you on my next live. Hope you enjoyed it. Take care. Bye.